Hello and welcome to CS230. This is lecture 22 and this is lesson 4. And now we're going to add some search functionality to our existing template, the handlebars template, and improve the functionality of our app. Now, you remember from lesson 2 that we've set up all of our the various controllers, and we have the root set up in place. So all we really need to do in this section here is to set it up so that we get the code to make it happen. So there's a few things that we need to do in order to make this work. Okay, so we should probably go back and have a quick look at the app to see how it works. And actually, what happened in my last what I did in my last lesson is that I changed the controller. So let's change that back again. We had a simple view here, so let's just change it back. In fact, I'm going to change it to a more expanded one, the one we're going to develop here. So one called the search view. I'm going to save this, and I'll kill our server and restart the server, and I'll let's go back now and just load this view. And you see how easy it is to have different kinds of views and make them work. So now this is fine. In fact, nothing is happening when we click the updates and the delete buttons here, the add button. None of these modules functionality is working, but we do have the search functionality in place here and here. So this is the live search, okay? So this works. So this is a live search, and that's what we want to accomplish in terms of our search. And then this is the database search. And we've seen this happen already, so I'm not going to do this again, but we could just search on the authors, and you'll notice that when I have this placeholder text here, okay? So when I change the quotations, I change them and filter the quotations. So these are nice little user interface additions that we want to be able to work. This is always going to be finding a database, so I don't need to change this at all. It just reminds us. So if I'm looking for authors and I have or, then I get Orwell and Forster, of course, but when I go back to my quotations. And it's a nice functionality, and it's important. You can't underestimate the importance of good user interface and interaction design when you're building these front ends to your apps. But we're interested now in making this happen. So let's go back to the code and have a peek and jump in and see how we make this happen. So this is it was a live search, that dynamic view of the table changing based on the query string. That is on the filter string, sorry, that is called live searching, okay, and the database functionality you know about already. So let's quickly go back again here just to have a look here. I put the add button down here because I think it's nice to have all these things lined up in a nice row, and I like to have this list above the front here. This is the Font Awesome search that gives us a sense of the live search. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to this. Okay, so here's the Bootstrap code for the live search. It's not bad. We have a group of buttons putting together, and again, this is how you set up grouping in Bootstrap. And we have a label there, okay, and we're using the Font Awesome search icon there. Then we're having the drop-down box. We're giving it a name, an ID field search select, and we're also again going to have the actual search button. Okay, so that has an ID table filter. So that's all we need to be able to make that happen. So as I said, the Font Awesome icon is just for the magnifying glass that we're using. I mean, it's nice to have it like this. And we're also using Bootstrap grouping and styling here, using all the button information. We can change the colors and all that functionality there if we want, just by changing these. What's sometimes hidden, and you may not see this sometimes if you're trying to make it work yourself, you might load the bootstrap.js or bootstrap.min.js. You might find that, and then find that your select button isn't showing properly, and what's happening really is that's because Bootstrap uses popper.js for the pop-ups and so forth, and if you don't include that, it won't work. So, but the best option I find anyway is to actually use the Bootstrap bundle, because that includes popper.js, so all of your normal UI components will work as you would expect. And really what's important, of course, here is that we do need to have an ID field, an ID for the drop-down, and we need an ID for the search box. That allows us to be able to decide which controller to call and which route to make and how the filtering will happen. So it's a nice way of getting the data in those objects using jQuery, and then we can use it to adjust the tables. And I mean, when I say adjust the table, I mean what rows we display. Okay, the database search box is very similar. We have the button here for the add, and it's another modal, okay, dialog, and we see about modals a bit later. And we have this add modal button here, No functionality for this just yet. You'll notice nothing is happening in terms of we haven't set anything up in advance about clicking and so forth. We'll do all that afterwards with jQuery. Okay, so now we want to search. Here's another select box. Okay, and this one is called the database search select. That's the ID field here. And again, here's an input box here, and we're going to have this placeholder. Again, this is the search filter. And then we have a button that we click called database search, and it has an ID. So this is a kind of a form that we set up, even though it doesn't sit within a form. So we're able to, when we click this button, basically to form the search, we need to search for the text that's in the box. We need to search the field that it's matching against, and all that information will be wrapped up in jQuery. And then we'll use that to make our search. So that's fine. I mean, as I said already, we've put the add button in here because we want it to look nice as part of the user interface. And again, we'll have to add the jQuery functionality for that a little bit later. Okay, so you can save it, as you said, you can save it and test it, and it's fine. But I think the one that I have saved already has the jQuery functionality. You'll see this because when I did the view, when I started putting something in here, you could see the live search functionality was working. But if you didn't include that, it would just show the view and show the boxes just up here and down here, and that would be fine. But there would be no functionality in place. So we have to make that happen by looking at adding some jQuery. So, and I have I've done that already, as you'll be able to see in my view. Let's go to here's the search view. Okay, so I've added the search information just above my quotations table, and I've added the database search below the quotations table, and you'll notice that next I've added in the jQuery. So this is our first bunch of JavaScript that we'll see. In order to make that happen, you have to add in the jQuery library. I'm using 3.5 and Bootstrap bundle, as I mentioned already. So that's good. We have a document.ready function here. This will start executing the code included in this once all the HTML code has been rendered. Okay, and so here's our field search, method, and here's our table search filter, and sorry, this one here is field selection. I'll tell you about that in a second. Okay, and again, here's a database search. So look, there's not a lot of code to make all this happen. Very few lines of things here. It's easy, straightforward to do, and really it's about reading the various input boxes and selections, and then doing something based on those. Okay. So I mentioned earlier about the placeholder. So that when you switch the placeholder, so I'm saying that I'm adding this change function here. Okay, so I'm creating this function that so when the field select button or drop down changes, I read the value. Okay, and that's very straightforward because I'm dealing with this search field. If it's 1, then the placeholder needs to be changed to filter the quotation list, and if it's 2, in other words, we change the alter list, and then I simulate an actual key up here so that you automatically do the search. Because I've added a key up function onto the live searching box. And we saw this in a few lectures back as well anyway. Okay, so in terms of this filtering, then we have this key up function, as I already mentioned. So we're adding this key up function to the table filter, and a table filter is the input box. Okay, so this is the table filter. This is called table filter. Okay, so every time the key goes up, so I press it slowly here. I press the T, nothing happens. Key up, nothing happens because they all contain a T. T down, T up, and obviously there's nothing found. Okay, so this is what the live search hashing. So in other words, we perform the search and do the filtering every time we have a key up function. So that's when we need to add the key up functionality, which is what I'm doing here. And this is how we normally do that live search. Okay, again, I'm getting the value and converting it to uppercase as I'm doing all my matching against the uppercase. Then I'm iterating over all the rows. Okay, I'm finding all the rows that are in the table. That's the quotation list table. Okay, then for each row, then I'm actually comparing the value that I have found in the search field against the first row if it's a quotation, against the second row if it's against the author. Okay, and these are just selections to be able to find the children in that row. Okay, and if there's a match, I show it, and if there's not a match, I hide it. That's live searching. It's really straightforward and simple, okay, and to do. And the activities are quite straightforward. So it's a bit tricky to maybe find how to do this kind of stuff, you know. And in truth, when I was doing this originally, I'd written the code and it just would not work. No matter what I tried, it just wouldn't work. I took it out, it wouldn't work. And as it happened, it turns out that my table that I was using, let me go back up to the table here. Yeah, for this table here, okay, I had, and the rows, you'll notice I was trying to change the layout and make it look nice with layout and so forth. And I was using this bootstrap class dflex to build a flex-based table transitive view. And the flex-based view of my table kept overriding the show and hide functionality that I had. So I had to get rid of that. I had to get rid of that and then manually look at the layout of the columns. That's why that comment is up here, of course, in my code. That's why that comment is here, okay, and I'm not messing with the row at all. That's why I'm manually changing all the styles myself, because it didn't play well with my show and hide from jQuery. Anyway, that's it. The database search functionality then, so if we go back just quickly, have a quick look at database search. Again, we can choose this, so we need the information that's in this drop down, and we need the information that's here. And once we have those, we're able to build a URL that we can just redirect to. And it's fairly straightforward, so I'm able to pull out the information from the filter. I'm doing some filtering out here, so we get some of the dodgy stuff. Okay, so there's a little bit of sanitization here, and then I just construct a URL, okay, based on quotation or the author. Depends what's selected. Okay, otherwise if it's not there, I just redirect to root, and that's it. You know, once I have that piece of information, I know what I need to do is parent it the search string, and then this makes the query. This is very simple, straightforward. I update this then. Once I've got the update, and as I said to you already, if there's a database filter, then I just add the badge, and it just extracts the path from up here. Let me just put something in here. So I'm just going to find searching for folder here, and then this, you'll see this is my search. This was what I searched for, and I picked this up from here. And all that last piece of code does here makes that happen. Okay, so that's all it is. This is all saved in a quotation search view.hbs, and you'll notice that I had a simple view, and now I have the actual full view, which will control all the modals that we need to be able to make and perform all the CRUD functionality with this that we wanted. That makes our app complete. Okay, we'll see that in the next lesson. So thank you for watching.